I think many of us who have worked closely with Raila over the many years doing campaign logistics and what have you, weren't surprised. Raila, number one, never buys crowds. And it was expected that people would turn out in large numbers. It was expected that people would be very emotional. I mean, at least from where I stand. And it was expected that the security might be overwhelmed. I think the gap is that on the security side, probably they didn't plan very well. When they announced that they will be viewing in Parliament, the first thing we thought, this is not going to be possible. And it came to pass. Then they said it will be brought to leave, that was not going to happen. So it was very clear for us, right from the beginning, that a lot of this, that which happened, was meant to happen or could have happened. I think the Presidential Funeral Planning Committee and the Logistics and Security Committee closely with Raila's team, personal team, to get learnings which they have had over the years. Because Raila's always had teams planning his campaigns, his movement. And the crowds that came yesterday were mainly from the people that would usually attend these rallies.
Those traditions that were yesterday adhered to. When the senator arrived, we even heard the house was opened up for the first time. Why is that significant that the mourners and supporters had to respect the house be closed until the official head of that particular family comes and opens up that particular house? And also we witnessed even the locals from that particular area. Everyone was issuing a bull yesterday.
Yes, I think as Africans, we shouldn't actually be in the business of questioning our traditions. First and foremost, Raila comes from a society, a community with its traditions, and those must be honored. Like they say in English, a tree without root is deadwood. And the problem we have as African society is trying to get foreign traditions to erode our own traditions. It was very important yesterday that Senator Burgos, as elder brother, sits with the elders of the community, identifies the gravesite, and perform all the necessary rituals and rites in preparation for the arrival of the body. And this is a beautiful thing that we should all be proud of. Every community in Kenya has its traditions, and the more they distance themselves from their traditions, the more its members begin to have mental difficulties and confusion. So I think it's important we need to use this opportunity to encourage that our African traditions are beautiful and they should be respected, performed. And what happened yesterday and what will happen, of course, on Sunday is good.
Tom, many people revered Raila Odinga as a towering political figure, but what is that particular side that not many people were able to see?
Raila was many things. I mean, first and foremost, is known for being a very shrewd politician. But apart from that, he was also a very strong family person, and a very social person, actually. Very interesting person to have as a friend. And his political contribution or his contribution to the country is somewhat limited to his participation in multi-party democracy, devolution and all that. But I can tell you that there are many other things that Raila did for this country that probably don't come to the limelight as it should. For example, the technology transformation of this country that now gives the Gen Zs much space to participate on Twitter and X was actually started by Raila, because I remember between 1998 and 2000 we went around the country doing the Computer for Schools project, which went to computers to almost 400 schools for free. Establishing computer labs in about 400 schools for free. Now, between 1998 and 2002, already there were like 5 million Kenyans that had accessed technology for free. And this is the foundation of technology adoption in Kenya, that allows many Kenyans now to be in social media and to participate in that. So people forget that. So they forget that it's not just the democratic space, but also the space in technology. Another thing that is also rarely mentioned is that Raila was very strong. I can say this because I participated in most of those things myself. I was very strong in social transformation, and also coming up with ideas for economic transformation. I remember you'd call at 6 o'clock and say, what is Gartner Group of Forest Research saying on the future of this and that and that, and we would go full blast doing research alongside our daily jobs, you know. So I want to mention in early it was around 2000. So the GSM network has just come, you know, for the first time. There were about 40,000 mobile phones in Kenya, but Nokia had just put up the GSM as a standard for communication. In GSM, there was something called location-based services that would now allow wireless technology, you know, and location-based services. So that is 7 years before M-Pesa. So already we were thinking at that time of wireless finance. And then Raila organized the e-transformation event at Norfolk Hotel, in which all CEOs and bank leaders were invited in collaboration with Deloitte Consulting. And these matters were in that conference. You know, what is the future of finance, financial inclusion, wealth inclusion, and that's where it was, the conclusion of that conference was that the future is wireless finance and micro, small, medium enterprise and microfinance. That was long before you had all this MSc, you know, 7 years before M-Pesa, 7 years before, you know, all these microfinance enterprises that you see today. So it was quite ahead in that aspect. And this is something that is normally not brought into picture. Another thing also, in terms of, you know, people do not know that Raila was actually the first deputy director of KBC. And KBC is built on a template from DIN, Deutsche Industrie Norm, which is German industrial standards, you know. And Raila, having studied in Germany, brought that here, and it's only through KBC that we are able to have products that we can trust. You know, so in that aspect, people don't really associate Raila so much with that. And many things. There was a lecture at the university. I was mad yesterday when I don't know which TV, but they say, oh, Raila had a diploma in Germany. There's nothing like that. I studied in Germany myself. It's called diploma without an A at the end, which is different from the English diploma. You know, diploma is a master's. Actually, it's even more superior than a master's degree, because when you have a diploma, you have 1 year to get your PhD. You know, so I don't know, but somehow the people in this country cannot differentiate between what is not English and what is English. Diploma is English, diploma is German. It's very continental European. So there are many, many other things. And he studied mechanical engineering in Germany, Magdeburg, one of the best universities in Germany, you know. And he taught at the university, brought KBC, standardization. People just think of Raila as, oh, he gave us free speech, he gave us the constitution, but there are many other things. All these small, medium enterprises and the foundation of microfinance in this country, the foundation of wireless finance, for which we are known in terms of M-Pesa and many other mobile money operators in this country, the general financial inclusion and wealth inclusion framework, that was built by him. So he wasn't just the politician. Raila was a social transformation architect, foremost. You know, it's not just democratic space, no political activist, but it was a social transformation. So a lot of things have happened in this country that would probably maybe have delayed, but he brought that much forward, much earlier forward. I worked with him very closely on that, so I know, you know, that we were working when Kenya had only 40,000 mobile phones. 20,000 or 30,000 of which belong to corporate. So normal people only 10,000 phones. Raila was already thinking about wireless finance, which is today M-Pesa, right? So many things. Yeah. Watching this is kind of really sad, because somehow we get to think of our friends and the people we know and we hold dear that they will never go.
Yes.
So seeing this live, it's some sort of reality check for me.
Yeah.
Raila was very special in many ways. He mentored a lot of people. A lot of youth, and he also gave them a lot of confidence and access to power, to organizations, to knowledge that they would otherwise not have. I mean, I remember every time he came to Europe, even from the time I was a student and after left, I was working in Switzerland, we would converge with a lot of other students and Kenyan students also from other countries of Africa and the rest of the world. And it would just be like one of us, you know, we'd live together, go watch football, talk, and we discuss all sorts of things. I mean, current affairs, given that there was always a generational gap. So I think it was very, very important for him to always have a company of very young people to understand what the future wants. And that's why he was quite ahead of other politicians, because he could resonate very well with the younger generation, much younger generation. Most politicians tend to hang around people of their age group, but Raila didn't have that. I think that it also helped that he started out of the country, so he didn't have people that he went to college with here. That probably helped. And Raila also, he had also the ability to have a lot of confidence in young people. I remember many times he would just take me with him, and he's going to meet a president or he's going to meet somebody that's very important, Jesse Jackson, I don't know, Sarkozy, Putin, and he would just take me with him. And then at some point he would just leave me with them. Or it took me many times I was in my 20s, and it took me to Moi. I mean, considering that we had been fighting Moi during the clamor for multi-party democracy. And shortly when we got into NDP, so Moi comes to Switzerland, he tells me we're going to have breakfast with the president. And I mean, I'd spent my life being indoctrinated that this guy was a bad guy. So we walk with him to the room, and he leaves me with Moi. Then turns out that the guy is quite a very nice guy. So I'm like conflicted, because I've been told he's a bad guy, and here he is serving me tea and asking me questions about how the country should go, and a much younger person. So it helped me as a person to grow, to be able to understand that certain things happen because the situation is what it is, but not necessarily that you have to hold that grudge. And another thing also that it did to many, not just me, to many many young people, is he opened doors. I mean, I was with him at the UN, at many corporate meetings in Europe, with him all over Europe and all that, and that he could entrust certain activities and duties to somebody much younger, you know, like going with him to France, and there's a room, and there's Putin, there's Sarkozy, and I mean, he is prime minister. I don't work for the government. You know, it's a very interesting thing. That trust is very important, and that's why you have a lot of people that really love him unconditionally. You know, Raila's one person. You'd be with Raila in the morning at State House, right? And in the evening, he tells you from nowhere, we're going to go to Kibera for some funeral. So he was able to dissect the strata of society with the mighty in the morning and with the really, really simple people in the evening. And it's still the same. It's just behaving the same as he did at State House, and we are now in Kibera at 10 o'clock in the night, and we're just sitting with all this youth. And I'm wondering, in the morning we were at State House, now. So he was that kind of person. I mean, he was able to give us the necessary exposure that humbles, right? That gives you a totally different worldview. Yes, I think locally, he had a lot of, I mean, this nationally you can see from yesterday, that he has a huge national support. And that has got its advantages and disadvantages, because the sort of expectation that he has from this group of supporters is slightly different from the expectation that he has from his supporters abroad. I used to run the ODM International Network. So this is a network of supporters of ODM internationally, right? But these are mainly more exposed career or student people. So they would come with an agenda or discussions in terms of how do we push the economy forward, how do we get the systems up and running, what are the issues that the diaspora community face. When it comes to Kenya, it's local politics. You know, how does ODM run against UDA or KANU? So it's one person that has to attend to very intellectual issues when he's outside the country and very organized matters, but when he's in the country, it's raw politics, and the expectations are totally different. And I was always impressed at his ability to transform, to change from Raila, the technocrat, the academician, to Raila, the raw street politician. Yes. So I think, and that's what makes him great. That's what has made him great. And one thing that I need to say again is, he always talked about quick burial. But now, with more insight, he was aware of his power in terms of support base and how they have, and how this, if his body is kept for a long time, how this might affect the country in terms of governance and economic activity. So one of the reasons I think he had to plan to exit quickly is to allow the country to move forward, which is a good thing. And the mere fact that he was aware of the kind of power that he wields and didn't misuse that, didn't use it negatively for the country, that's a great thing. People are forgetting one thing. His Excellency, the President of the Republic, was once the Deputy Party Leader of ODM.
Yes.
The Chief Cabinet Secretary, Wycliffe Mudavadi, was Deputy Party Leader of ODM. Raila Amolo Odinga was Secretary General of KANU. William Ruto was Secretary General of KANU.
Yes.
And Mudavadi was Deputy Party Leader of KANU. So if you look at that space, if the 10-point agenda is implemented, what builds the foundation of the broad base, what stops UDA, ODM, and KANU coming together? What stops? Nothing.
Nothing, yes.
You know, people, so we must not see Raila's demise as a way of now creating new tensions in the country. Both of them, Raila's fought for unity, fought for stability, and this is the opportunity to create stability that is long-lasting going forward for the country. And this would only be possible if ODM, UDA, KANU, and WIPA converge together. I say this from very insightful knowledge. Because look at it this way, you know, Raila had an handshake with Uhuru Kenyatta. Why? Because they'd worked together. He has an handshake with Ruto. Why? As a matter of fact, Ruto was even in ODM before Raila. So if you look at all this, there is nothing. These are ideological sisters. The differences that have existed have been very personal. But in terms of ideology, these are ideological sisters. So I think, if you ask me from where I sit, I think the best thing that can happen to this country today is if ODM, UDA, WIPA, and KANU came together, because, as I mentioned here, off the ground, I don't think there is no historical evidence that electoral democracy has transitioned any country from poverty to prosperity. Zero. So we must understand that most of the problems that we have in this country are systematic. It's because we have faulty systems. So by converging ODM, UDA, KANU, and WIPA, we get closer to having one major political party that the president understood, Raila understood, Mudavadi understands, His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka has been in the system since he was 30s. He understands that too. So I think it's the right time for them to converge, come together, and give this country a proper direction. So the fact that the world is transitioning very fast. Today, if you ask me, if I had the opportunity to advise Ruto, I would tell him, fire any cabinet minister, PS, that is above 50. Because they cannot offer the younger generation what they would need in the future. You will need to have a younger generation in this system to architect their future. So anything, these things about reward, come on, for what? And, don't get me wrong. I think for us to move forward, this is very interesting because Ruto is the first president of Kenya to be born within the Republic of Kenya. Nobody knows this. All others who were first subjects of the colonial government. So Ruto is the first post-Republican president of Kenya. So he should steer this country for the people who are born within the Republic. And most of them are very young. You know, so he should get a lot of them, and the older generation should take more advisory, elderly role in creating and nurturing the stability. But in terms of operational matters of the country, governance issues should give to the young. Should put more Gen Zs, more millennials in government, right? So that they can now then chat and craft and architect their future. President Ruto, to all of them have worked with him in some way or the other, and benefited from his thinking and his political experience and genius. So I think it leaves a good legacy in terms of the contribution that he's done for the country, in terms of the knowledge that is impacted and the mentorship for many and all of us.
Yes.
I think now is the time for the country to pick. The baton has been passed, so they need to push with the baton. They need to push in a new direction of stability, economic prosperity, and unity, because we can't anymore have the old style of politics of tribalism and all that. This is dead. That is dead and must die if any part of it still exists. I think that must really die. We can't have politics of antagonism, politics of insult, because we're creating a bad example for the younger generation. We also need to review the position of the interrelationship between different segments of society, the church, the religion, and the state, and how this works for the future. We cannot have in one town 200 religious organizations, and you have less than not even one factory. We need to start thinking about all those issues. God is good, God is great, but we need to combine that in such a way that it works for us. God also only helps people who work hard for themselves. So those are things that we need to look at, and we also, going forward, I mean, we must understand that we have freedoms that were brought to us by Raila, but those freedoms are not by themselves licensed